Thank you, Nicolo. Thank you, Toto, for the very good welcoming speech. Thank you very much. Dear participants, you are all welcome today for the Eureka Cluster Sustainability Call webinar. This is the national webinar for South Africa. It's really very excited today to be with you, of course. I am Sinem. I am the general manager of Eureka Cluster, which is the one of the Eureka Cluster working on energy domain. Today, I'll try to talk about the other clusters, of course. First, I would like to introduce the clusters under the umbrella of Eureka. There are 5 clusters, 5 specific teams and communities. The first one is ETA, which is working on software development innovation. The second one is Celtic, which is working on ICT domain and telecommunication technologies. The third one is Eurogia, which is working on energy domain and low carbon technologies energy. The fourth one is Smart, which is working on advanced manufacturing. And the fifth one is XS, which is working on electronic components and systems. As you all see, there are different specific teams for all clusters. And the all clusters are working for R&D and I projects. Today, we are willing to talk about sustainability. As all we know that sustainability is everywhere and it's time to invest in sustainability. One of the hot topic is not in Europe, all over the world, in sustainability. It is essential for all actors to become more sustainable while providing effective responses to the economic, technological, and social rising challenges. Therefore, all Eureka clusters and the public authorities decided to have a joint sustainability call to have the R&D projects on this topic. So, what will we do? Before this, of course, I have to mention about the involved countries and supporting countries for this call. There are 16 countries supporting Eureka Cluster Sustainability Call, which are Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Hungary, Ireland, Luxembourg, Portugal, Singapore, South Africa, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, and United Kingdom. Now, when we look to the countries, one of the biggest industry country, which is German, is not on the list. Germany is not supporting all the projects, but they might support 1 or 2 projects. That's why I try to underline this issue. You can discuss with the public authority if you will have a Germany project partner, of course, and you can check their feasibility and their availability for the call. When we look to the targeting sustainable industry projects, there are 2 special focus areas, which are green ICT and space, earth, ocean integrated systems for better observation and data exploitation. Green ICT, which enables industrial applications in a sustainable, less energy producing, but also ICT itself having a less carbon footprint, consuming less energy, less heat. Also projects that implemented sustainable solutions in sustainable manufacturing situations. The other one is space, earth, and ocean integrated systems. You can develop new solutions, of course, integrate the new technologies for satellites, ocean and earth observation systems, ground, ocean and underwater imaging and sensing. But I have to say that these are 2 special focus areas, but of course, not the only ones. You can see some technologies which can be considered for this call. For example, ICT architectures. For example, Industry 4.0 for food production. For example, power electronics and power management, or integrated sensor and secure communication systems. But I have to say that This list is not exclusive. Of course, you can put your technologies for sustainability for this call, which is very important. There are some potential technical fits or strategic application domains. You can all see and check the website for the details, for further details. I have to say again that the mentioned areas are only indicative and not exclusive. So you can put your technologies, integrate new technologies for your new ideas. I want to mention about the call time, about the sustainability call. We launched sustainability call on the 1st of February. Then we had a brokerage event on 23rd of March. The PO submission deadline will be 2nd May and the FPP deadline will be 30 September. So as I see on the call timeline, there are two process stage. Which one is the PO and the second one is FPP. After you submitting your POs, your proposals till 2nd of May, the experts and PAs will evaluate your proposals. On 24th of June, the accepted POs will be invited to FPPs. So your FPP submission deadline will be the end of September. After your submission will be ended, again the experts and public authorities will evaluate the projects. They will have some consensus meetings for the funding situation. Most probably mid-November, we will have the funding decisions. So we are willing to start these projects as of November. If you look to your benefits, if you participate in this call, of course, you will be the front runner in your sustainability application area. You will have a financial support, which is very important. And you will have access for a large network organization. You will be a part of flexible program for the bottom-up calls, which we defined for cluster calls, and you will have a chance to get coaching and support from the experts of the clusters. For submitting your project proposal, there is a website which is defined for this call only, and my colleague Nicola Siudini will detailedly explain to you after my presentation. You will have the further details for the tool, but do not forget that it's essential for each partner to contact their supporting public authority to have their eligibility criteria and national submission timeline. Also, the public authorities will have their funding rates, funding rules of participation of a subject to national policy. So also you can have all this information from the website, but you can directly call your national contact points to have these informations. Your project proposals should primarily target taking sustainable industry technologies. For EUREKA rules, for the international cooperation between at least two countries is mandatory, but we are advising and recommending you more will be very good for you. Yes, two countries are mandatory, but if one of them can be funded but the other not, then your project will be failed. If you will have two countries in your consortium, and if two of them can be funded, then your project will be running. So there will be no risk on your consortium side. This is why we are advising you. Two countries is mandatory, but more is advised. One industrial partner from each country has to be in the consortium. This is mandatory. Proposals can be cross-cluster, cross-domain, cross-community. What does it mean? I want to explain. In this call, as this call is a joint call, you can select two clusters. One of them is primary cluster. The second one is the secondary cluster. I can give you an example. For example, a company is working on energy domain and they will have an idea on the energy domain, energy era. But in their project, they are developing an ICT platform, for example. Then you can select EUREKA cluster as a primary cluster because you are working on energy era, but you can select ETA cluster as a secondary cluster because your project is including a software developing site. Hopefully it's clear. If not, please ask your questions after the presentation. It is recommended to have a consortium that covers all segments of the value chain relevant for the project scope. And then I want to tell and underline the successful project criteria. You have to define your problem very well. It has to be clearly defined, and of course you have to define your solution and your new technologies integrated in your project proposal. You have to define the state of the art, which is very important for the experts while they are evaluating your project. And of course, the value chain ecosystem is very important. So each partner has to explain their value in the project proposal. And of course, the commercial impact, economical impact, and social impact has to be designed in your project proposal. You have to meet the national criteria, which is very important for your funding situation. So you have to know your national funding criteria very well. You can connect your national contact point from your public authority site, so you can have this information. Otherwise, in our website, all the informations are written in the website. Country impact is another important topic for the demonstration, of course, because in the project there has to be an economic impact and social impact. So demonstration, the economic impact and other benefits for each country involved is very important. We are looking for mid-sized projects which are between 5 and 20 million euros with a typical project duration of 2 or 3 years. Of course, the project has to be close to the market, so it means that it has to be a fast commercialization. In your project proposal, you have to define your KPIs very well. The consortium should determine and describe its own sustainability scope in KPIs. And of course, these KPIs has to be smart, which means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The KPI should allow evaluation of the global and systemic environmental footprint reduction, and the clusters will review KPIs during the monitoring phase of the labeled project to assess project results. Therefore, for the two topics, it is very important. The first one, during the evaluation, the experts and public authorities has to view your KPIs related with the project. And after accepting and funding your projects, the monitoring phase of the labeled projects, the KPI has to be reviewed by the clusters. There is a tool which you can, a support tool, which you can submit your projects by this tool. My colleague Nicolo Svidini will explain detailedly this, so I do not want to mention about this. And as I mentioned you before, there was a brokerage event on 23rd of March, and now it's really very close to the deadline of the submission of your proposals. So hopefully you will have the right partners for your project ideas. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your attention. And if you will have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. I'm still here to answer your questions after the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sinem. So yes, there is one question from the chat.
Yes, please.
They ask if one of the any cluster focus on transport sustainability.
Transport sustainability. Transport, but what is the topic of transport? What I mean is, if they will develop a platform, or if they are working on a software side or hardware side. This is very important. If on the transportation, the company is working on the software side, it will go to ETA. But if they are working on electronic components or hardware side, it will go to XS.
And if it will go, for instance, in electric vehicles, it will be also EUREKA.
Yes, thank you.
Our scope. So
You're right.
I mean, this call, the meaning of the call is to connect topics between clusters and have projects that are interconnected among these clusters. So every time you speak about smart transport or electric vehicles or sustainability in general, there is always one of the cluster for covering that part of the topics. So don't worry about that. Then I have a hand raised by Mr. Malesela.
Yes, please.
I don't know if he's still.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I heard you touched briefly. You said you're looking for mid-range projects between 5 to 20 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, it is the budget for all consortium, not only one company. It is the total budget for the consortium.
Okay, and what is the maximum budget for one company?
There is not we couldn't say it's maximum, but if you look to the Eureka rules, one country has maximum have the total budget of 70%.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Let me say you have you are two countries, I'm sorry. One of them is coming from South Africa, the other one is coming from Turkey, for example. Your total budget maximum will be 70% of the total budget.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
And I will also add, I put a sentence in the chat that I took from the manual of the call. When you go in the website, there is a manual of the call with all the information. And you can see that it is written that the eligible cost is in the range of 5 to 20 million, as Sinem said. Though projects outside this range may also be submitted for evaluation. So if you have a 3 million project, you can still evaluate, since the manual express say that also outside this range, the project will be evaluated and taken into consideration. But the important part is not specifically around the budget, but more important about taking contact with your public authorities, in this case with Toto and South Africa, and clear with them which are the eligibility costs country by country, because this is the important part.